Welcome to the Speaking of Writers podcast. I'm Steve Richards. Today we're joined by one of crime fiction's most acclaimed voices, award-winning author Tracy Clark, creator of the riveting Detective Harriet Foster series. She's back with her newest thriller out now. It is called Edge, a gripping and emotionally charged race against time. A tainted new opioid is cutting a deadly path through Chicago, claiming the lives of a college kid, a new mother, and even striking painfully close to the homicide division itself. As Detective Harry Foster and her team hunt for the source, Harry finds herself battling not just a killer drug, but her own inner brinkmanship. Tracy Clark is the winner of the Anthony Award, the Lefty Award, the Sue Grafton Memorial Award twice, and her novels have been named among the best mysteries of the year by the Washington Post, Library Journal, Crime Reads, and more. She is a Chicago native. I'm happy to have, for the first time, Tracy Clark join me here on the Speaking of Writers podcast. Welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
It's great to have you here, Tracy. Edge opens with the Chicago PD scrambling to track down a deadly new opioid. What sparked this premise for you?
Well, I think each book sort of starts kind of the same way. I just sort of look around for stories. I might find a little item in a newspaper or on the news or something. And I think I read something about an overdose of something here in Chicago, and that sort of got me thinking, who does that person leave behind? What happens? What are the police looking for? And then it sort of you started asking yourself, well, what if I sort of twisted it this way? What happens if this happened? And that's kind of how stories start for me. I sort of see something. I start asking what if or what could possibly other thing could happen. And then that's where stories sort of jump off. So I have my cast of characters. I've got Harry and her partner and everybody. And Chicago is their patch. And so I just sort of put a tainted drug on the streets and then sort of set them on their merry way, trying to find out what the source is, who's putting it out there, why, and then sort of track it back into the community and to society and sort of put the victims there that are innocent people sort of caught up in this sort of weird thing. And then sort of that's where the story goes. So that's how it came to be. And that's how all of them sort of come to be. It just sort of a spark of an idea, sort of twisted some way, this way or that. And then we're off to the races.
Yeah, you mentioned the victims. The victims, a college kid, a new mother, three poker players, paint really a chilling picture of how widespread the crisis is. How did you research the realities behind tainted street drugs?
Well, again, I sort of went and sort of Googled, like most people
Mhm.
do, and said, well, how prevalent is it? And it is prevalent everywhere, not just in big cities, but every, small towns
Yeah.
and everything. So it's there. It's there. And it affects levels of society, not just the person that sort of takes the drug or is addicted to the drug, but their families, the society, the communities they're from. So, I sort of did a little Googling, not a lot, because I don't like to do a lot of research because, I'm a lazy writer. And so I just sort of, just enough to sort of figure out what the issues are and how pervasive they are and who they affect and who they don't affect and how they affect people. And then you just sort of write your own story around that sort of that nubble of drug addiction and opioids and stuff like that. So that's what I did, just enough to sort of know what I was talking about and then sort of go and put my characters on the page and see what they can do with it.
Harry Foster is laser focused in this investigation, but also emotionally fragile after the events of the previous book. How did you balance the procedural with her deeply personal arc here?
Well, both things have to sort of run together. So we've got her case, and she's really good at that. She knows how to be a cop. That's not a problem. It's the personal stuff that she's having a problem with. When I set her off on this series, when I put her in that first book, I've pretty much taken everything from her. I've taken a son, I've taken a marriage, I've taken a partner, and then she has to sort of figure out what happens after that. I mean, does she take a step forward or does she just chuck it in and forget all about it? So I sort of start her in a not a good place. She's in a hole
Mm.
and she has to dig herself out. And so those things have to run together. So we've got her case that she has to solve, but she's also got to solve herself. And so by the time we get to Edge, that's book 4 in the series, she's a little further along than she was in book 1, but she's still got some stuff to sort of deal with. The title of the thing is about the drug itself. It's called Edge, but it's also the edge of Harry too. She's at a point where she can either go this way or that way, and she's got to make a decision. And so she's at the edge of where she is, and she's got to either move forward or back, but she's got to do something. And so it's got a sort of a double meaning, and those things run together. As the case gets solved, Harry sort of solves herself. People around her help her do that. But she's got some work to do. And so that's almost as fun for me to write as the case is. The interesting part about dumping bodies on a page, you sort of have fun with that, fine. But you want your characters to be good too. You want them to sort of learn some stuff and get better and survive and sort of carry through. And so you have to do those things together. Harry and the case, her partners in the case, all of it together. So it's sort of a double sort of a thing you have to do, doubly stressful in terms of the craft and writing it, but you have to do all that stuff all together.
Harry is one of the most layered detectives in current crime fiction, resilient, wounded, relentless too. How did you create her, and how has she evolved for you since book 1?
I think I created her. Well, when I first saw her, I saw her on that sidewalk in front of the police station. That's where Harry started for me. It was kind of hard to sort of find her voice because she's a very sort of insulated kind of personality. She does not talk about her life, her losses, her guilt and sense of responsibility. All that stuff is insulated. And so I had to sort of pick her out of rock, really, in terms of the craft elements. I mean, I sort of put her on the page and sort of wanted her to do something, but until she did it, I had no idea who she was. And so I'm not one of those writers who plan things. I just sort of have an idea. I see where it takes me. I write as far as it'll go. In terms of characters, I build them sort of brick by brick, layer by layer. I've given her all those losses, but how does she deal with those losses? Is she one of those people who sort of, sort of bounces back? No, she is not. And so that's the thing that I have to sort of work with, and I have to sort of build her uh, action by action, emotion by emotion, and I learn stuff about her every single time I write her. I know more about her in book 4 than I did in book 1, but I still don't have a really good grasp on her because she hasn't told me who she is. And so I just sort of pick my way through. I do the best I can with it. I try to make her as human as I can possibly make her. She's a book person. She's not real, but she's got to feel real to the reader. And she's got to sort of engage them and sort of get them invested in her journey. And so that takes a lot of work for me to sort of figure out those layers and figure out how she can be human as possible, and how she can sort of draw those readers in. So I'm thinking about all of those things as I'm dumping bodies under the river walk or whatever all the fun stuff.
Chicago is practically a character in this series. The old writing adage, write what you know. You're from Chicago. What aspects of the city did you most want to explore in Edge?
I wanted to show people that we weren't just like the crime statistics, all right? It's not just the data that you hear on the news or the breaking news or whatever, that there are people here, people, good people, Midwestern people, hardworking people. Every neighborhood is different. Every neighborhood smells different, has a different vibe, different people live there. And all of those things come together to create what Chicago is. We have sort of a historical, uh, tradition of sort of being corrupt and sort of having politicians who go to jail. And fine, that's great. That's wonderful for crime writers. But you've got to sort of get, again, like with the character, you've got to get below that and sort of find out what the foundations are and how the city really feels and sort of moves and sort of goes. And so that's also fun for me to sort of show people my city. It's more than you see on the news. People are great. Got wonderful architecture, all that wonderful stuff. And if I, dump a body somewhere, that doesn't mean that, it's that place is not a good place to visit. I mean, just not at midnight, maybe. But stuff like that. I want them to see that Chicago is great. And so you have to sort of show the people and how they live and how they talk and how they sort of interact with each other. And all of that stuff goes into the pot All of that sort of stirs the stew. And the better I can do that, I think the closer the reader will get to the Harriet and to the characters and the story too.
How did you become a writer, and how does your background influence your storytelling?
I don't know. I think I was sort of born to be a writer. I don't, there's different schools of thought on that. Either you're born a writer or you become one. I think the minute I sort of realized that stories were not just, something that sort of popped out of the cabbage patch, that people actually sat down and wrote those things, that's what I wanted to do. That's all I could think about of doing. And so I started kind of young. I had 12, maybe 12 or 13 years old. I had a little notebook with my stories in it, and I sort of picked around at that and sort of wrote stories. And I kept going through college and high school and grad school and all of that stuff. And then I got to the point where you gotta have to either give it up or jump off and do it. And
Mm.
so I did it. And that took another 20 some years before I got published. But you sort of teach yourself how to do it. The more you do it, the better you get at it. And so I guess I always wanted to do it. I just wanted to see how good I could get. And I'm still doing that. I don't think you ever get to a point where you know everything and you know how to write every story because you don't. Every book is different. Everything is the same mountain you have to climb. You have the same story problems in the last book as you have in the one that you're writing now. And you just have to sort of pick your way through it. It's hard work. But I enjoy it most of the time. Most of the time, it's a drudge. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. Sometimes it's hard, but it's fun to do, and it sort of satisfies you to have it done, and you're absolutely overjoyed when you're finished that you've got it a beginning, a middle, and an end, and now you can go back and fix whatever you messed up.
What's the best thing about being an author?
Um, I think the community really. The writing's tough. It's a singular thing that you do in your own little writing room. To have a writing community that you can sort of commiserate with and sort of, support each other and bolster each other up, and they do the same for you. I think that was a great joy that I found when I sort of started because I didn't know any of that existed. I was just writing a book because I wanted to write a book. I wanted to be a writer and to sort of get published and sort of find out that there's an entire community of writers out there who are just as excited about your stuff as you are about their stuff, was a nice sort of a pleasant surprise, and I enjoy it immensely.
Who are some authors? Give me a couple who continue to inspire you.
I think all of them, everybody I read, get something from. But the ones who really got me into this, who really wanted me to sort of get me to the point where I wanted to do that, was Sara Paretsky, of course, one of
Mm.
our Chicago authors here, all-time favorite. Let's see, Valerie Wilson Wesley, Eleanor Taylor Bland here, all of them. I always got something from everyone that I read. And everyone contributed to what I am today. And hopefully, I can do the same for the new writers coming up. You learn as you read, and you read the best stuff you can find. You learn something every single time, and you sort of try to push that on and give that back to somebody else. So, there are a lot of wonderful, talented writers out there that I absolutely enjoy. And, just keep it coming.
I know this one just came out, Edge. Are you working on another one? And if so, can you give us a sneak peek into what it's about?
Well, I'm reading now my first standalone. It's called You'll Never Find Me. And it's a sort of a suspense story, cat and mouse sort of a thing. We've had a wife and son sort of trying to escape an abusive husband. And the book is about her trying to get as far away as she can possibly get. And then, of course, you have your conflicting, forces trying to sort of hold her back and sort of get her back in that trap. So that's what it's about. And it's due to my publishers on the 19th of January. So it's crunch time, but, that's part of the gig too. So
Yeah, when you're writing, Tracy, what's the best writing environment for you? Do you write to music or do you need total silence?
total silence, no radio, no television. I closed my curtains. I don't want to see anything except the voices in my head and the pictures in my head. So, complete and utter silence.
A book you've read recently that you can't stop recommending to people?
There are too many. There are too many. I can't. There are just too many. They're
Too
all
many in
good.
your head?
No, anything by Sara Paretsky. I just finished this one, by Ian Smith. Nice PI series. That was
Beyond
pretty good.
Midnight. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, anything in that genre. I like PI stories. I like mysteries. I like crime. The grittier, the better. Anything like that. So,
She's Tracy Clark. The new book out now is Edge. It is available now wherever books are sold. To learn more about Tracy and her work, visit tracyclarkbooks.com and follow her on social media at @tclarkwrites. Tracy, thank you so much for joining me here on
thanks
Speaking
for
of
having
Writers.
me. Thank you.
And this is the Speaking of Writers podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. I'm Steve Richards. Keep reading, and I will talk to you again next time.